Reincarnated as a first-rate villain. I don't know how to play my role. Chapter 10. Shadows of Legacy. The sun was sinking, casting its farewell glow across the cobblestone streets of Velebrandt. Its light stretched the shadows long and thin, painting the city in golden hues that shimmered like fading embers. The air was heavy with the mingled scents of roasted chestnuts, horse sweat, and the faint tang of blacksmith forges still alive with fire. Through this restless yet oddly harmonious city walked General Knight Rex. His boots struck the ground with a measured weight, each step echoing authority, discipline, and something more. Something carried in the marrow of a man who had given his life to war, loyalty, and silence. People parted instinctively as he passed. They did not need to see his face to know who he was. His bearing was enough. The black coat trimmed in silver carried the unmistakable mark of House Velebrandt. The sigil of the winged lion gleamed on his shoulder plate like a brand of destiny, a silent reminder to all of the power he served. Behind him trailed a proud warhorse, massive, iron-shod hooves tapping like a drumbeat of war on the stones. This beast was no ordinary mount. It had carried Rex and the young heir Lucien only hours earlier. The animal's sharp, intelligent eyes scanned the crowd as if it too bore the dignity of Velebrandt's bloodline. Rex gave a low grunt. Can't have Lucien's ride stolen by some fool drunk on ale and arrogance. His voice, though quiet, was filled with iron. He guided the steed through winding streets, like past stalls that stank of alchemical powders, past alleys that whispered with spice and smoke. At last his gaze fell on the building he sought, the Gilded Antler. It was more than a tavern. Its slate-blue roof and oak stone walls stood like an anchor amidst the city's bustle. Its sign, painted with a golden stag crowned in leaves, swaying gently in the breeze. Music drifted from the windows, along with chatter and laughter like the heartbeat of Velebrandt itself. Two guards stood outside, laughing beside a barrel of salted fish. They stiffened when Rex approached, eyes widening. "Sir Rex," one blurted, straightening, his voice tinged with awe. "Is that—" "Lord Lucien's mount," Rex confirmed, giving the beast a pat. "I'll be lodging it here. Stay with him until I make the arrangements inside. If anyone so much as touches him, break their fingers." The guards exchanged nervous chuckles, but their eyes held seriousness. Understood. Satisfied, Rex pushed through the tavern's oak doors. Warmth struck him instantly. Not only the heat of the crackling fireplace, but the hum of life. Clinking mugs, roaring laughter, the plucked melody of a bard's lute. The air was thick with the scent of roasted meats, spiced potatoes, and ale poured endlessly into eager cups. Candlelight danced along beams and tables, painting shifting shadows like memories on the walls. Behind the counter stood a giant of a man, sleeves rolled, beard as dark as midnight. He polished a mug that seemed absurdly small in his great hands. The moment he spotted Rex, his face lit up like a torch in the dark. "Well, if it ain't the Iron Fang himself," he bellowed. "Come to sample some real mead for once?" Rex smirked faintly. "I'd need to be drunk past recognition before trusting your swill." A ripple of laughter spread through the nearby tables. Clearly, this banter was an old tradition between them. The barkeep leaned in, lowering his booming voice. "What brings you here, Rex? No way the famed Hound of Velebrandt just wandered in for a drink." Rex's gaze sharpened. "I've got the heir with me." The man blinked, stunned. "The heir? Your young lord?" Rex nodded once. "He's inside one of the family stores. I need a place to keep his horse until we leave." The barkeep's grin softened into respect. "Say no more. You know the Gilded Antler takes care of the lion's bloodline. Stables ready, hay fresh, trough clean. We'll treat the beast like royalty." Rex turned toward the back, but paused. His eyes swept over the tavern. A young adventurer sharpened a dagger, his face still carrying the arrogance of untested youth. A cloaked merchant hunched over parchment, scribbling contracts with trembling fingers. Two beastkin laughed over a spilled ale, their tails swishing in merriment. Rex's jaw tightened. All of this chaotic blend of blood, ambition, and dreams. This is the world the boy will inherit. The world he must one day rise above. He exhaled slowly, a flicker of something rare brushing his face. Pride. He's already changing. And with that thought, the Iron Fang disappeared into the stable hall, his footsteps swallowed by the noise. Across the city, inside the polished walls of a Velebrandt clothing hall, stood Lucien. The boy studied his reflection in a full-length mirror. His cuffs were neat, his white shirt crisp against dark, well-pressed trousers. A charcoal gray gillet hugged his frame, silver trim catching the light in delicate whispers. He looked refined, yes, but grounded, far from the dazzling silks and gold-threaded coats of his estate. Lucien smirked faintly at himself. I look like one of those hard-working men on the main street, he murmured. He remembered seeing them, hauling crates, laughing with sweat on their brows, their lives tied to the rhythm of toil rather than the weight of nobility. The store around him glowed with soft light. Rows of floating crystal orbs cast a gentle radiance, not harsh but warm, like lanterns at a festival. The air was cool and perfumed faintly with cedar, a welcome relief from the sun's heat outside. Lucien let his fingers brush the fine weave of his sleeve. This world astonished him still. Not like the industrial chaos of Earth, but alive in its own elegance, where magic was stitched into the bones of daily life. The salesman appeared, bowing with practiced grace. A fine choice, young master. This ensemble breeds both humility and refinement, a rare blend, and it suits you perfectly. Lucien tilted his head. Should I just wear it now? Of course, the man replied smoothly. For our esteemed clients, we offer swift preparation. 10 minutes, and it will be cleaned, pressed, and ready as though woven anew. Lucien blinked. You even offer that? Only for clients tied to the Velebrandt name. The words struck him like a quiet hammer. So this is what it means to be born into a house of power. His lips curled into a small, almost embarrassed smile. My family really is absurdly rich. Would it be all right if I looked around while I wait? He asked. The salesman's eyes gleamed. It would be our honor. Please, take your time. Lucien drifted through the aisles, his footsteps echoing against polished wood. Everywhere he turned, garments whispered of wealth and legacy. Mannequins stood dressed for kings, tailcoats lined with myth-beast fur, cloaks feathered like the wings of exotic birds, vests buttoned with gems that seemed to breathe with inner light. One coat shimmered with crimson embroidery that flickered like living fire. Another displayed a navy hue so deep it felt like staring into the sea itself, its lining stitched from sea dragon leather. Around him, noble youths fussed over appearances. One twirled in a mirror, asking if he looked gallant, while his servant clapped like a sycophant. A pair of merchants squabbled heatedly over gemstone color palettes. Lucien chuckled under his breath. So this is fashion politics, huh? But then his eyes caught a different ensemble. A navy coat, slim and sharp, the winged lion of Velebrandt embossed across the chest. His breath stilled. His mind conjured his father's image, a towering figure in similar garb, eyes like sharpened steel. Lucien's chest tightened, awe mingled with something heavier. This is the legacy I was born into, a family of power and a role meant for the villain. For a moment, he saw his earth self reflected faintly in the glass, a young man burdened by mistakes, by mediocrity. That version of him would never have touched this world, and yet here he stood, wearing the skin of privilege, the shadow of destiny curling around his every step. He whispered so softly, almost to himself, "This world, it's alive. So alive. And I'm no longer who I was." The laughter, the music, the glint of fabric, all of it swirled together, wrapping around his heart. The role of a villain, written in cruel ink by fate, and yet with each passing day, it was harder to believe he was meant to play it wrong. Lucien touched the navy coat's fabric gently, his reflection staring back at him with eyes that no longer belonged to the boy of yesterday.